Good morning, Michigan Athena. Thank you so much for joining us for Breaking Chains, Empowering Women to Unleash Their Freedom, a powerful webinar today dedicated to helping women claim clarity, freedom, and confidence. Today's session will help women transform their vision into action. It's a very practical topic, and we do know that you'll get many takeaways out of it. We'll uncover the barriers that often hold us back from learning how to go forward in our journey and to help mold our stories with intention and resilience. This 1 hour of investment that you've chosen to give yourself and others, we will explore both internal and external challenges that many women face: old narratives, self doubt, past wounds, and truly being able to take that, recognize it, and offer practical strategies and solutions to move forward with renewed confidence. We are so honored to have our speaker, Lisa Fisher, leading today's conversation. As a dynamic speaker and leadership coach, Lisa brings deep expertise in helping individuals break through barriers and maximize their potential, plus pursue their goals with two Michigan Athena pillars: authenticity and courage. And I think you'll see a lot of both of those come out of Lisa's presentation today. Before we dive in, we would love for you to stay engaged. The highest scores we get on these Michigan Athena webinars are those where the chat box is just really active. So we do encourage you, as Lisa is sharing with us today, if questions come to mind that you would like her to address near the end of her presentation, please pop those in the chat box. And moreover, if you have thoughts or practical examples that are appropriate and you're willing to share with the group, feel free to put those in the chat box. Reflections, thoughts, anything that would really just make this an interactive experience for the hundreds of attendees on today. We would just love to hear from you. So use that chat box. And finally, stick around till the end. All of the attendees who were able to stay with us will be doing a drawing after for a Michigan Athena prize. It's a swag pack that will be mailed to you for the winner. It's a crossbody bag full of goodies, as well as a Michigan Athena tumbler. And lastly, Michigan Athena is a community where ambitious women grow. We are so excited to tell you more about that later. But before that, we want to thank our sponsors. Consumers Energy. Some of you were able to come to the in-person event that they so graciously hosted last month for Michigan Athena down in Jackson, Michigan. And we're so grateful to Kathy and her team at Consumers for being a diamond sponsor of not just that event, but for 2026 Michigan Athena. We could not do a lot of this programming without the support of our sponsors. So thank you so much, Consumers, for that. And regarding membership, I'll just say that we continue to grow in membership. We have over 100 members already, and we launched this less than a year ago. If you are interested and continue to invest in yourself, for joining a supportive circle that has wonderful ways to connect based on your schedule and your availability and where you'd like to gain access to professional development, please scan this QR code to learn more and reach out to me or Kate in our office, and we would be happy to share more about Michigan Athena membership that goes throughout the year. So that said, we will go ahead and kick it off with Lisa. Please settle in, open your mind, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to imagine the life ahead of you. There is so much potential. There's so many great things that you can continue to contribute and become. So let's begin this journey of growth together and be empowered.
Good morning. Welcome, everybody. And we are so glad to have you here with us today. My name is Lisa Fisher, and I wanted to thank Michigan Athena for the opportunity to present on breaking chains. But I also wanted to thank each and every one of you for being here today and investing in yourselves as well. As we go through this material, I have a little bit of a disclaimer, and one of it is this is personal. And this is an opportunity for you to go deep within yourselves.
Hello, everyone. I'm in the green room of our webinar, and I see that we actually have lost Lisa. So, our events team is contacting her now to jump back into the webinar. We thank you in advance for your patience, and she's well worth the wait to get her back on here. So again, it's not your technology. It's something happened with Lisa's Zoom platform, as we've all dealt with, of course, over the Zoom journey these last 4 or 5 years. So we're going to get her to be able to pop back into the live webinar feed. And in the meantime, I don't think it'll be more than a minute or two. We would love for you to share something in the chat that you are excited about learning today regarding breaking chains, overcoming adversity, whether it's something internally that we're dealing with as female leaders, or perhaps something, generically based where we really feel like we can learn more professionally to help us with external factors as we continue to grow in our career and contribute as courageous, authentic female leaders. Um, Again, we are just so grateful that hundreds of you have registered for this webinar today and continue to engage into 2026 and investing your time. So thank you for those of you who have already just dropped a few things into the chat. And if you can think of anything else that you'd like to have for takeaways, please go ahead and pop one in.
All right. Yeah.
And here's Lisa. So I will go ahead and turn it back over to you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Well, good afternoon, or good morning, everybody. I apologize for popping out, and I'm going to take a moment to share my screen and get started so we can make the highest and best use of our time. So, thank you so much for being here today. And I really appreciate the fact that not only did Michigan Athena invite me to talk about such an important topic, but also thank you to each and every one of you that are investing in yourselves for being here today. I'm going to put a little disclaimer on this. This is really personal. This is intense, and it's requiring ourselves to really be honest and dig down and think about what are the things that are holding us back from being the best versions of ourselves. So, again, thank you all for being here. Professional growth and development is so huge. One of the Athena principles is advocating fiercely. And when we start thinking about breaking chains, releasing those things that are holding us back from allowing us to be who we desire to become, it's going to require us to advocate for ourselves. Sometimes that's a little challenging. I feel as women, especially, we're so willing to jump out and support and advocate for others that we put ourselves on that back burner. Think about that as we navigate through. This topic came about a couple of years back. I was asked to speak at a conference. The theme of the conference was letting go. And I was brought in to be the presenter and speak about let's go. The day before, they talked about those barriers, those bags of rocks. If you could imagine wearing a backpack and you're picking up rocks and putting them in the backpack, their issues, their struggles, their things that we're holding on to, their past hurts, their somebody else's struggle that's not even ours, but we're picking it up and we're putting it in our bag and carrying it with us. And so the idea is to be able to let go of those ideas that are holding us back. So today there'll be a couple of opportunities to do a little bit of jotting down thoughts. And I really encourage you to take a moment when we have those exercises to begin. We're not going to finish in a 1 hour webinar, but we can definitely get some thoughts on paper and start navigating through. We're going to look at what's holding you back from freedom. We're going to recognize the power of unforgiveness and how that plays into some of our limiting beliefs you can see on there. It's some of that unforgiveness holds us back from launching forward to being the best versions or even creating our new story of who we desire to be. With that said, what can we expect from our time today? There are some handouts. Danielle may have put them in the chat room. I believe they were sent out just to follow along. A couple of sheets to, again, jot down thoughts as we're going through. Engage, much like Amanda shared, engage. Take the time to start the process. We're raising your conscientious awareness. And be honest with yourself. This is where you're going to get the most out of it. And sometimes when we take that deep look, that being honest with ourselves about what is preventing me from moving forward and creating the story, the life that I desire to live can be painful. Type your questions in the Q&A at the end of the presentation. We'll have some time for Q&A and be able to not just invest this time, but this is some thought work that maybe you set aside a couple of hours to continue to work on throughout your weeks ahead. Suma the Elephant. Some of you may have heard of this book, some of you may not. It was a gift that I received from a very good friend of mine. And when I started thinking about freedom and letting go and breaking chains, this little story, and yes, I'm going to be a spoiler alert. I'm going to summarize this at a high level, but it is a great book to refer to. Very simple, very easy read. You see, Suma was born and he was with his parents one night, and the monkeys came and they kidnapped Suma. They took him back to their tree that they lived in, and they led Suma, the elephant, by a tiny string. And as they had him tied to this tree, they would throw coconuts on his head, and you're just a pet. You're never going to be free. You're just a pet. But as elephants do, Suma grew into this magnificent beast, still held to that tree by a tiny string. But yet, those monkeys had programmed into his head that he was never going to be free. He was just a pet. And other elephants would go by and they'd like, Suma, come play with us. And he said, I can't. I'm just a pet. I can't. But even as time passed and the monkeys start to pass away, Suma held on to that programming. So he grew up in this space. And at any point in time, he could have broken that string and have run off to freedom and played with the other elephants and found his parents. But that programming that the monkeys were laying on him, it just stayed with him and stuck with him. And sometimes that's what happened is we've been programmed in such a way, whether it's things that we tell ourselves or it's things that we hear from other people that hold us into relationships, positions, paths that we've chosen. So we're really going to focus on breaking the string. It's not only what is your string, but it's naming it. It's really having clarity around what's holding you back. When we take a look at some of the barriers that are hindering us from freedom, if I take a look at this, fear is an internal barrier. Maybe that's what's holding me back. But what caused that fear? Because I could name it, fear's holding me back. But go a little bit deeper. Why? Other internal factors are our self-talk. What are we saying to ourselves? I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. And maybe that all goes back from our programming, because from a young age, much like Suma being kidnapped at a young age, those monkeys were telling him, you're just a pet. And from the time we're old enough to start analyzing and hearing and listening, that becomes our programming. And this can create our negative self-talk depending on what you were taught, what you were hearing. And even now, we're programming ourselves if we're listening to certain media, we're listening to the news, we're listening to somebody that might not care for us, that says negative things about us. But we hold on to that and then we find ourselves start telling ourselves those same things. But one of the barriers is a comfort zone. Sometimes we just get complacent where we're at. One of my topics I like to talk about are the different generations in the workplace. And not so much a comfort zone, but it being complacent with where they're at. And I was comparing my Gen X daughter to my Gen Z granddaughter. And my Gen X felt stuck in her role at work. It was a little bit of a toxic environment. She wasn't happy, but she settled in and accepted that kind of environment for herself. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a comfort zone as much as it was she was complacent with what she had because where am I going to go and make as much money as I'm making now, right? Some of those thoughts, some of those doubts, some of that thinking that we have going on. Then my granddaughter, it's all about being treated well. And she was working in an environment as a barista where the business owner would tell everybody they're stupid or they're lazy and all of these things. And she went in one day advocating fiercely for herself and her coworkers. And she's like, you can't talk to us like this anymore. She wasn't going to remain complacent to be treated like that. She wasn't identifying that, oh, this is just the way it's going to be and stay there. Now, the jury's still out on what happened next, if she was let go or she released herself from the role. But right. It goes back to sometimes we get comfortable in the environments that we're in and we become complacent with them and we want to grow and step out of that because it prevents us from being able to move forward. Fast forward, my daughter did end up leaving that job, found another job, and is doing so much better. All of that negative self-talk of where am I going to go to start over, or even imposter syndrome, she had to overcome that. We have exterior barriers that are holding us back. When we start thinking about socioeconomic status, we think about cultural norms and expectations and the stigmas that people place on others. And maybe because we came from a specific environment, there's a certain expectation or some folks what's hindering them from freedom. I was raised in a family of attorneys. My grandpa was an attorney. My father was an attorney. I went to school to be an attorney. So that's the expectation. I feel that external pressure of this is who I should be. And yet it's not who I want to be. I don't want to be an attorney. I want to be something else. But I'm feeling that external pressure on me. Support is really important. Having a strong support network is huge. And if we haven't built that when we're looking at making decisions or creating a new path, it's preventing us from being able to take those steps because we don't feel like we've got that support behind us. Workplace barriers, discrimination. There's a lot of other external barriers that are holding us back. Some of us, it's family responsibilities. So when we start thinking about our path to freedom, are we clear on our purpose? Are we settling for the status quo? Do we want to be able to break? And there may be some internal, external factors that are holding you back. It's funny because when we talk about the internal fear, I find a lot with people in my conversations, it's not fear of failing, it's fear of success, not understanding what to do with it. But we need to take that opportunity to really recognize and identify if it's fear, what is that fear? So we're going to take a couple of minutes and we're going to take a look at possibly we'll put 3 minutes on the clock and Danielle will play some music. If you've got your hand out in front of you, great. If not, we can just start identifying what freedom are you fighting for? When you look at some of these examples, what's your string? Because the thing is you get to name your what freedom means to you. Authenticity for me is freedom. When I could become my authentic self, another Athena principle, that weight just lifted off of my shoulders. So I am always fighting to be authentic in who I am. Then it's identifying that string, that fear, or that self-doubt. So let's take a moment. Danielle, if we can cue up some music. I'm going to put a 3 minute timer on my stopwatch and just take a moment and jot down some thoughts. Take another minute. 3 minutes goes by quickly. Sometimes it's too long of a time. And yeah, I hope you took a moment to start thinking through what does freedom mean to you and what are some of the things that are holding you back. When we start identifying the programming, it could be years of programming and habits we have to unlearn, things we have to unlearn. And we recognize that this is a process and nothing's going to change overnight because some stuff is just so deeply ingrained in us that we've got to start looking for opportunities to grow beyond it. Oftentimes when we start thinking about unlearning habits, we always learn there's tons of books that are written out there about creating habits, routines, learning new habits, forming new habits. And yet, some of this is going to require letting go and replacing some of those barriers with new thoughts, new actions, new ways of doing things. So, we're going to take a look at three different strategies that I really identified for helping us to move forward. And the first one is forgiveness. And we'll talk about forgiveness, changing our thoughts, and writing your story. So, as we continue to walk through these strategies, there'll be some moving parts that you're going to want to unveil and maybe even dive a little bit deeper because you're touching the surface. Yeah, let's get started. Man, unforgiveness, that weighs on us a lot. And when we can think of people that have wronged us, people that have hurt us, situations that happened that maybe on the surface we're like, all right, we're gonna let go of that. But they're still those hurts. And sometimes it's something that happened 20 years ago, and you're still holding on to that girl that wronged you at school or that person that happened, and you're still kind of holding on to those emotions, and they get in the way for us to be able to move forward. I had read a story once in the book Renovation of the Heart, and it was talking about the unforgiveness and how it can physically make us sick holding on to things. And once we release that, it really is freeing. We can get rid of anger. We can get rid of resentment. We can let go of some of this negativity that we've been holding on to. And when we think about the physical ailment in how the stress really weighs on us, it's almost like when you let go of that, you can feel that weight lifted off of your shoulders. It improves our relationships with others. We can start building trust when we can let go of some of that unforgiveness. Our personal growth will accelerate because there's nothing hindering us, preventing us from moving ahead versus holding on to grudges or somebody that wronged you because sometimes because one person did something wrong with you, you think that about others and they've not even done anything to make that impact. But forgiveness is really offering up that freedom that launches us, propels us into the new life, the life we desire. I had attended a training session and a woman was speaking about forgiveness. And she had us take out a sheet of paper and we had to identify what are we holding on to, and that's in one of your handouts. What unforgiveness are you holding on to? Maybe it was something with your mom, a friend in school. How is that impacting your ability to grow? How is that impacting your ability to have trust and strong relationships? That is, we start thinking about what am I holding on to? Sometimes maybe somebody's gone through a divorce and they've got that heavy on them, that unforgiveness that builds walls. We're cautious. We're not letting our guard down because we've been hurt. After we had to identify what we were holding on to, we needed to make a list of who do we need to forgive. I'll tell you, that was a powerful exercise because one of the things that I learned when writing down who do I need to forgive, part of that was myself for my limiting beliefs and the thinking that I put on myself. When I've done this in rooms, people are, thinking deeply and they're thinking about, I need to forgive my mom. And it's really the act of going through the forgiveness that is freeing. And it's a bold, daring move. But you have to be ready for it because I don't know if any of you are like me. Oh, I'm going to forgive that person. They're wronging me. Oh, no, nope, I'm still holding on to it. I'm going to let it go. Nope, I'm still going to hold on to it. So it's making a conscious decision of forgiving. Forgiving is not forgetting. I'm not asking you to forget about the things that happened to you. Yet, when we think about the barriers, we think about the strings that are holding us back from freedom, from being the best versions of myself. Is there somebody or somebodies that you need to forgive? So take a moment, just 2 minutes, and start thinking about, jot succinctly down some notes. What are you holding on to? And who do you need to forgive? Take just another minute. All right. One of the things that I really learned about forgiveness is I really don't want to give somebody that much power and authority over my life. I want to have power and authority over who I am. That person's not losing sleep because they've wronged me and I'm holding on to that. I'm losing sleep. It's making that conscious decision to move forward. And oftentimes it's expressing it verbally or in writing that we're forgiving that person and moving forward. There's a connection. I've never studied the brain, but I know that there's a connection between your brain and writing things down that again is freeing, right? Write it down. Let them know. They're not going to have that power and that hold over you as you're on this journey to freedom. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. Again, they don't even know they wronged you, right? Or they didn't lose sleep over it, or they might have realized they did it, but they thought it was water under the bridge and we've moved forward. But it's for you. Going back to the woman that had us do these exercises, she then had us take the names of all of those people that we needed to forgive. And she had a cistern, I guess, on stage, a metal bowl. And she had us bring our list of people that we felt wronged us, harmed us, that we needed to forgive, and put those lists in that bowl. And then she caught them on fire, burned them up, let them go. They don't have that authority over you. And again, it's a lot of self work, and self work is the hardest work you will ever do. You could dig ditches for a living, physically out there digging, lifting shovels of dirt, but self work is so hard. Yet, if you want change, if you want something different from our lives, if you've had these visions of things that you want to accomplish, that you've had stuff holding you back, we've got to do the work. And it's brave and it's hard and it is so rewarding. Make the conscious decision to forgive people for what may be holding you back. Yeah, there was our limiting beliefs. Brian Tracy, change your thinking, change your life. Everything begins with our thoughts, and our thoughts come from our programming. This all plays a part in a big cycle. So, our programming leads to our thoughts, and our thoughts generate our feelings and emotions. And logic makes us think, but our emotions make us act. So, our thoughts create our actions, and our actions drive results. So when we start thinking about what are we thinking about? I've always been impressed with my husband. I'm like, what are you thinking about? He's like, nothing. I'm like, how do you not think of anything? That is not in my repertoire. I'm always thinking about something. And yet, what are the thoughts that we have running through our heads? Some people might say, you need to have positive affirmations, write down positive affirmations, put them on your bathroom mirror, look at these things, tell yourself these things every day, which is awesome, but you have to believe those thoughts. Because if I sit here and tell myself, I'm a money magnet, I'm a money magnet, I just attract money, I don't believe that. It's never going to happen. So if you're a person that does affirmations, make sure you believe in what it is that you're saying about yourself. And I always love that statement. You would never say the things that you say to yourself to your best friend. Talk to yourself like you are your best friend. Advocate fiercely for yourself. Our thoughts are the driving force between the levels of success that we achieve. There's statistics that show, and I didn't print one off for this specific topic today, but there's statistics that show if there's a job opening or a promotion opportunity within your organization, women, if they don't match the criteria, like 99%, they won't even put themselves out there for it. I'm not qualified. I don't have what it takes. Oh, they're requiring a bachelor's degree and I don't have that. Men will just apply for it. There's that confidence level. But we've got to change our thought process because we have a lot of life experiences and qualifications that we can bring to the table. So it's a matter of changing how you're thinking about that. Imposter syndrome is a huge topic today. It's always been a huge topic, but the I'm not good enough, I can't do that, the I can'ts, whatever that is. We need to be able to change our thoughts. Our thoughts become limiting beliefs. And from a limiting belief perspective, we need to change that to empowering beliefs, those things that really are the opposite, if you will. So if I think about some of my limiting beliefs, on one of your handouts, you're going to see a sheet of paper that says limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. The I'm nots, I can'ts, those are your limiting beliefs. What are some of your things you're telling yourself? On the opposite side of the page, you're going to write down the empowering. What's the exact opposite? What's the empowering belief that I can tell myself? I don't have a bachelor's degree in leadership development. Limiting belief. Empowering belief. I have over 30 years of experience growing and developing leaders. I have different stories, different levels of expertise that qualify me to be in the room to talk about leadership. Take just a moment. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I'm going to put a minute on the clock. I want you to think of one limiting belief and one empowering belief, just so you can kind of get that rhythm going. This is where I miss being in the room with everybody to just hear some of the empowering beliefs, how you've taken something and have changed it. Because when we're in a room together and we're able to share that, you can just feel the energy shift. It's so incredibly important. A lot of times we have limiting beliefs around money as well. And when you think about thoughts around money, and this is just kind of a small example, but I come from a middle class family, right? That's a belief, and sometimes that limits people from being able to think about moving bigger and knowing my worth, and I'm worth more. So it's sometimes something small, but it's also something very big. And in true fashion of action items, because I did left and right side of the paper, you would fold that sheet of paper in half, you would tear it down the seam, and you would take the limiting belief side and just shred it, just rip it up and get rid of those thoughts, get them out of your sight, tear them up, throw them away, and focus on your empowering beliefs. Again, everything begins with our thoughts. Change your thoughts. We have to guard and protect what's coming in and what we're channeling out. Because if we're, the books we read, the music we listen to, there are so many things that get into our thoughts, the negativity, the naysayers. I have a dear friend. I've learned I've had to keep my distance from her. She is very vocal, very negative. And as I was hanging around her, I'm not saying to stop hanging. I've limited the access, but I've also got my mind going because I would hear she would be talking negative and I would be like, yeah, yeah, and I'm jumping on that bandwagon with her. And when I would walk away from that meeting, it was just a different feel. So now I still hang around her, just less and on my terms. And I gear myself up for having conversations with her because influence is important. There's things that are influence the way you think. Change your thinking, change your life. Hmm. We get to write the new story, the life I'm creating. This isn't about what somebody thinks I should or shouldn't be doing. This is about my authentic self, who I want to be. What can I create? What are the possibilities out there? I know we were going to do vision boarding with Michigan Athena, and we weren't able to do that exercise. Yeah, we have visions, we have dreams, and if we don't have our goals and our actions written down, but writing the story isn't just about setting goals and achieving goals. It's something that is so passionate within you that you're fulfilling your mission and your vision and where you want to go. And you get to create that narrative. You don't have to adopt and own somebody else's. We hear story after story of people that have turned their lives around or they were raised in poverty and have come up out of it. They didn't let their circumstances define who they are. So when we start thinking about creating this new story, it's that self-reflection. In 2019, I had a goal. I wanted to meet with 100 women, sit down with a cup of coffee, meet with 100 women, just learn all about them and build relationships and connections in the community. I didn't even hit 100 because I had to convince them they wanted to sit down and have a cup of coffee with me, anyways. So it was a little harder work than I thought. Yet, when I would ask the question, what makes you happy? And I would hear the answer, I don't know. I've spent my whole life doing things for other people, being a mom, being a daughter, going to work and providing for the family, whatever that is, that I do not know what truly makes me happy and brings me joy. But that's that self-reflection. Who do I want to be when I grow up? What makes me happy? What do I want to do? You can do that within the careers that you're at because you're creating the life that you want to live. Define that vision. Where do you see yourself someday? Is it an impact that you want to make in the community? Is it creating this lifestyle for your family? What is your vision? Drop the narrative. The sky's the limit. Think about just don't think about, well, if I had access to this, remember some of those external limiting beliefs that are going to hold you back? Dive into it. Anything's possible. Emphasize the empowerment that brings and take action one step at a time. It's a process, but you get to create the life that you desire. It's hard work, but you have it within you to do what it takes. Before we jump into Q&A, in transparency, right? Single mom, very early 80s, talk show hosts pretty much said that I was going to be a product of the government and I would not amount to anything. You could watch all those talk shows. Some of them aren't even in existence today, but it really, if I would have listened and let them define my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wasn't going to be a victim to their definition of who I should be. I was going to be victorious. And I feel that I am living the best life. I have opportunities. I own businesses. I am self-sufficient, have happy, fulfilled children. And I wanted to create my story that I get to share and not succumb to those external forces. And when you have a support system and you can find those people around you, you have that same opportunity to take control. Write your story, start the steps to live it out, become the best version of yourself. At this time, I know we're going to jump into some questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment. Hopefully, I don't lose you all and get out of the event totally. But yet, Danielle, do we have some questions in the chat room? If anybody would like to fill out some questions. Oh, any book recommendations? There is a book that is called Mindset. I think that is a really good book. Helps us to focus on our thoughts. I also think Grit is another great book. I have not completed the Let Them Theory with Mel Robbins, but I get a lot of favorable feedback on that book. So yeah, those are just some books. Any other questions? Any work-life balance? Ooh, work-life balance. Um, Time blocking is important, and it's really about being present where you're at. Our personal lives, our friends, it's more about our family, our friends. That's quality time. It's not about the length of time. It's about the quality of the time that you're spending with them. And so when we're at work, being present at work, being intentional, time blocking the specific activities that you want to focus on getting done, and then being able to do some of the other smaller activities, minimize those distractions, but be present. Schedule date nights. Be intentional about that. Schedule your workouts and have an accountability partner, that support system and that group. Have them help you be held accountable to that self-care because we want to keep things in balance. And it's about being intentional with the time that we have. Because you don't want to come to Friday nights and it's date night and you're like, oh, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. It's have a plan. Reflection time and planning time are really instrumental in helping us get that work-life balance. And we have to say no sometimes. We need to say no to some things, or not yet. I've always been in customer service. I'm a not yet kind of person. And yet, we need to be in those arenas and those areas that serve us. Let's see, what else do we have in the chat room? Ooh, yes, the Michigan Athena also has a book study group. And I hope you all have seen the revised version of the principles Michigan Athena, the 8 leading principles. That there's a new version of that come out. Um, Authenticity and leadership. You know what? That's a great question. I made the decision to be authentic, and I didn't really read any book on that because it was about being genuine to myself and where I found myself in some different experiences that made me turn that corner. Um, so again, referring back, authenticity is in the 8 principles of Athena leadership. So I think that would be a good spot for you to go back and review. All right. Thank you all so much for being here today and investing in yourselves. The hard work is ahead, and some of you may have already started working on some of these opportunities. I'm going to share my screen again, possibly. And I'm going to put up my contact information. So if you have a question and maybe it didn't get answered, or if you have another thought, please be sure to reach out to me. Got to tell you, that phone number down there, text me. That's the best way to get a hold of me because when I'm not in an appointment, then I can text you back or text, hey, I just sent you an email. So I know to jump in and take a look at it. Yet I really feel helping women reach their potential is one of the greatest things that I can do. And when I think about what success looks like for me, it's when I can help people have that aha moment go off and they can start envisioning what their success looks like. Thank you all very much for being here.
Lisa, thank you so much for your authentic, in a sense, calming approach to discussing today's topic of breaking chains. It was very introspective, and we just appreciate you coming alongside us in the Michigan Athena community. So, thank you so much. We confronted narratives and beliefs that restrict our own personal freedom and how we move forward, and we were able to replace those with some empowering truths. I appreciated your charts personally. As we wrap up, I do want to thank everyone for joining us today to invest in themselves and finding actionable strategies and a renewed sense of confidence and a clearer vision of what could be ahead, because we really are able to be empowered and believe in ourselves to our full potential. And I think today was a practical way that we were able to do that. So thank you, Lisa, for being our leader today. Um, for those of you who are Michigan Athena members already, thank you. We hope you are enjoying the book club and a lot of the other access with the LinkedIn group and other activities that we're doing within the membership itself. Um, Please save the date for the annual conference, which is October 7th through 9th at Crystal Mountain. Our summit continues to grow larger and larger, so we're taking it on the road this year and heading up north for a conference where we can invest in ourselves, network, have fellowship, but also really grow as professionals. So save the date, more to come on that. And also, we want to thank Consumers Energy for being our diamond sponsor. Again, not just for today's program with Lisa, but for the entire year of 2026. We so appreciate your commitment and your belief in what Michigan Athena is, and for the hundreds of folks that we're able to network with and to be able to grow with together. So thank you to Kathy and her team over at Consumers. And for those of you who were engaged in the session, thank you so much for being vulnerable enough and courageous enough to share your thoughts. Um, you will see everyone here a recap email later today with a survey. We would love to get your feedback on today's events and what you're looking for. There's also a QR code here if that's quicker and easier before you jump into the rest of your day. And today's winner for the Athena swag bag will be announced in that post-event email that you'll all be receiving in your inbox. So take a look and we'll get that shipped out by tomorrow. So thank you so much again for your time, your openness, your vulnerability, your courage, and your commitment to taking care of yourself as a professional in the workplace and beyond.